Hi, I am Dr. Liana Wen. Today we are talking about eat this vegetable to shrink your enlarged prostate naturally. Eat this vegetable to shrink your enlarged prostate naturally. Let me begin with a question. What if a single choice you make in your kitchen today could help ease the pressure, the discomfort, and the constant nighttime bathroom trips caused by an enlarged prostate? What if nature has already placed a quiet yet powerful remedy in front of you, and all you need to do is put it on your plate? You see, in medicine, we often talk about treatments, medications, and procedures, but as Dr. Liana Wen often emphasizes, true health also begins long before those steps. It begins with understanding how your body responds to what you feed it. And when it comes to the prostate, one of the most underestimated tools of healing is a simple, humble vegetable, broccoli. Now, why broccoli? Why would something so ordinary carry the potential to help with something as frustrating as an enlarged prostate? The answer lies in inflammation. Many men don't realize that enlargement is often fueled by slow, steady inflammation deep within the prostate tissue. And broccoli contains a natural compound called sulforaphane, a nutrient widely discussed in books exploring food as medicine principles, including How Not to Die and the China Study. These books highlight a truth we often overlook. Vegetables are not just food, they are biochemistry at work. Sulforaphane is like a switch. When you eat broccoli, this compound activates your body's own detox pathway Js, turning on protective systems that help quiet inflammation and reduce the oxidative stress that can worsen prostate enlargement. It's not magic. It's not instant. It's biology, your biology, responding to the signals you give it. Think about this. Every time you sit down to eat, you are either feeding inflammation or fighting it. For years, many men unknowingly fuel the problem. Processed foods, heavy fats, lack of vegetables. It's no surprise that the prostate becomes irritated over time. But when you bring broccoli into your meals, even a few times a week, you send your body a different message: heal, repair, calm down. And the results often show up in simple ways. Maybe you notice fewer nighttime bathroom trips. Maybe the pressure feels less intense. Maybe your energy improves because you're finally sleeping through the night. These small changes add up. They restore a sense of control that many men feel they've lost. But let's go deeper. Broccoli doesn't work alone. It's part of a larger story, one where food becomes a partner in healing. Imagine pairing broccoli with a handful of walnuts, or adding it alongside salmon rich in omega-3 fats, or mixing it with tomatoes loaded with lycopene, another nutrient shown to support prostate health. In books that explore longevity and functional nutrition, broccoli appears again and again as a foundation. Simple, accessible, affordable, and powerful. I want you to picture this. You're in your kitchen, standing over a pot of steamed broccoli. It doesn't look like medicine. It doesn't taste like medicine, but it acts like medicine. And the best part? There are no risky side effects, no waiting rooms, no prescriptions. Just you making a choice for your future, because the truth is the prostate doesn't enlarge overnight. It grows quietly over years, and healing works the same way, through small, steady, intentional actions. A serving of broccoli today, a little more movement tomorrow, less sugar this week, more water next week. Health isn't built in a moment, it's built in motion. And if you're thinking, can something so simple really make a difference? Remember this. The most powerful changes in health are rarely dramatic. They are slow and consistent. They come from building habits that send your body the right signals again and again. In the end, this speech isn't about broccoli alone. It's about what broccoli represents, your ability to influence your health in ways that are natural, accessible, and entirely within your control. You don't have to wait for things to get worse. You don't have to accept discomfort as your new normal. You can begin supporting your prostate today with something as ordinary and extraordinary as a green vegetable sitting in your grocery store. So let this be your reminder. Healing isn't always found in a bottle or a clinic. Sometimes it's found in a bowl. Sometimes it's found in the simplest choice you make on an ordinary day. And today, that choice can be broccoli, a small vegetable with the potential to make a big difference in your life. Eat this vegetable to shrink your enlarged prostate naturally. Let me begin with a question. When was the last time you stopped and wondered whether the discomfort you feel isn't just a part of aging, but rather a reflection of the choices you make each day? Most men assume that prostate enlargement is something that simply happens to them, something inevitable as the years pass. But what if that belief is not entirely true? What if your daily habits, especially what you put on your plate, quietly determine whether your prostate becomes inflamed or stays healthy and calm? This is where the power of a single vegetable comes into focus. Imagine walking down the grocery aisle and passing by a pile of fresh green broccoli, never realizing that it holds a potential key to easing one of the most frustrating health challenges men face: broccoli, a vegetable so common that most people hardly think twice about it, carries within it a natural compound called sulforaphane, something scientists have been studying for years because of its remarkable ability to influence inflammation, detoxification, and cellular health. But let's pause here, because the interesting part isn't just the nutritional science. It's the story behind why something as simple as food can influence something as complex as prostate enlargement. Dr. Leana Wen often reminds us that health isn't just about disease. It's about the conditions we create for our bodies every single day. Every meal is a signal. Every bite is either a whisper of healing or a spark of inflammation. And that's why what you choose to eat is never just fuel, it's instruction. When a man develops an enlarged prostate, it doesn't happen overnight. The gland becomes irritated, inflamed, and swollen over years of exposure to the wrong internal environment. Think of it like a sponge that absorbs every signal, good or bad. Stress, lack of sleep, inactivity, processed foods, high sugars, and poor nutrition all contribute to creating a landscape where inflammation thrives. And inflammation, as many major health books remind us, is the modern root of countless chronic conditions. So now, imagine introducing broccoli into this environment. The sulforaphane it contains acts like a gentle yet powerful wave of repair. It signals the body to activate its natural detox processes, to reduce oxidative stress, and to calm the inflammatory pathways that are often overactive in aging men. This isn't speculation. It's been observed again and again in research focusing on how cruciferous vegetables support cellular health. But even beyond the research, there's something deeply intuitive about the body responding positively to real food. You can feel the difference when you eat something nourishing. Your digestion changes, your energy shifts, and your overall sense of well-being improves. And while broccoli may seem like a small change, it is often small changes done consistently that reshape your health. Picture a man who has been dealing with frequent nighttime bathroom trips. He wakes 2 or 3 times, sleeps in fragments, and begins each morning feeling drained. His prostate feels heavy, swollen, or irritated. He may not talk about it much, most men don't, but it affects his life, his confidence, his comfort, his ability to rest. Now picture that same man 2 months later. He hasn't taken expensive pills. He hasn't made extreme changes. But he has committed to one simple habit, adding broccoli to his meals 4 to 5 times a week. Has his life changed overnight? No. But gradually, almost quietly, something shifts. The nighttime urgency becomes less frequent. The pressure eases. He sleeps better. He feels more centered. His body is responding, not because broccoli is magic, but because broccoli supports the systems inside him that were built to fight inflammation and restore balance. Food doesn't act like a drug. Its power is in its consistency. And that's what many people forget. When you eat broccoli today, you may not notice anything life-changing. But when you eat it again tomorrow and next week and next month, you are creating a steady internal environment where healing becomes possible. It's the cumulative effect that transforms your health. Now let's look at something deeper. Why broccoli specifically? Of all vegetables, cruciferous ones, broccoli, cauliflower, kale, cabbage, contain unique sulfur-based compounds that the body uses to neutralize toxins, reduce DNA damage, and support hormonal balance. And hormonal balance matters deeply when it comes to the prostate. As men age, their hormone ratios shift, and this shift can contribute to prostate enlargement. So when you eat broccoli, you are not only calming inflammation, you are also supporting the body's natural ability to regulate hormones. Books that explore the relationship between food and long-term health explain this again and again. Real healing doesn't come from sudden dramatic actions. It comes from aligning your daily habits with what your biology recognizes as nourishment. Broccoli is a perfect example of this. It is unprocessed, it is natural, it is dense with nutrients your cells understand and know how to use. Another overlooked benefit is its fiber. Men with enlarged prostates often struggle with digestion as well, and poor digestion can put pressure on the pelvic region, worsening symptoms. The fiber in broccoli supports better gut movement, better elimination, and a lighter, less congested abdominal environment. Everything is connected. Nothing in the body acts alone. And finally, eating broccoli represents something symbolic, taking ownership. It means you are choosing not to surrender to age, not to accept that discomfort is your fate, not to let your health decline without action. It means you are choosing to nourish your body with something real, something healing, something that brings you one step closer to the version of yourself you want to be. In the end, this keynote is not about glorifying a vegetable. It is about empowering you with the understanding that healing begins with choices, that your prostate is not your enemy. It is simply responding to the signals you give it. And broccoli is one of the simplest, most accessible, and most effective signals you can offer. If you want to shrink your enlarged prostate naturally, you begin right here with a vegetable that asks for nothing more than a place on your plate and rewards you with a healthier, calmer, more comfortable life in return. When you begin to understand that inflammation is the hidden engine behind an enlarged prostate, everything starts to make more sense. Most men think prostate enlargement is simply a matter of age, a natural consequence of getting older. But aging alone is not the villain. The real issue is how the body processes stress, diet, toxins, and lifestyle over time. Inflammation is the silent force that fuels this process. And if you can understand it, you can begin to change it. Imagine inflammation as a low, steady flame burning inside the body. You might not feel it directly, but its presence slowly affects the tissues, the cells, and the organs. The prostate, being a small gland tucked deep inside the body, is especially sensitive to these internal conditions. Every time the body experiences stress, whether from poor diet, lack of sleep, chronic tension, or even environmental toxins, that flame burns a little hotter. And over the years, this heat is what causes swelling, pressure, and that frustrating urge to urinate again and again, especially at night. Now picture this. Your prostate is not malfunctioning out of nowhere. It is responding to an environment that has become inflamed, irritated, and overwhelmed. And this is why understanding inflammation is not just interesting. It is essential. Because once you understand inflammation, you begin to see how much control you actually have. Not total control, of course, but far more than most men realize. Inflammation isn't random. It follows patterns. It responds to signals. And those signals often come from something as simple as what you eat. Foods high in sugar, refined oils, artificial additives, and processed fats tend to throw gasoline on that internal flame. They create oxidative stress, imbalance hormones, and strain the detoxification systems of the body. When this continues day after day, year after year, the prostate becomes one of the unintended casualties. But the opposite is also true. Foods rich in antioxidants, phytonutrients, and natural anti-inflammatory compounds send the opposite signal. They tell the body to cool the flame, to restore balance, to heal. This is where the real power lies, not in trying to cure the prostate overnight, but in gradually reducing the internal heat that causes it to swell. In books that explore the science of inflammation, there is a shared message: inflammation is not inherently bad. It is a protective response. It is the body trying to defend itself. But when inflammation becomes chronic, when it never turns off, that's when problems arise. That's when tissues become irritated. That's when the prostate becomes enlarged. So the key is not to fight the prostate. It is to support the body so inflammation has no reason to stay active. And this brings us back to everyday choices, not dramatic changes, not extreme diets, but steady, sustainable decisions about what you eat, how you move, how you breathe, how you rest. Imagine, for example, a man who begins each day with a heavy breakfast loaded with processed meats, excessive salt, and refined oils. This kind of meal signals the body to stay in a reactive, inflamed state. Now imagine the same man making a different choice, adding vegetables, choosing whole foods, reducing processed ingredients. It's not about perfection, it's about direction. Every small shift cools the flame a little more, and you can feel the difference. When inflammation decreases, the body feels lighter. Digestion becomes smoother. Energy becomes steadier. And because the prostate is so sensitive to these internal conditions, it begins to respond as well. The swelling softens. The pressure eases. The urgency reduces. But inflammation isn't only about food. It's also about stress. Chronic stress keeps inflammation alive even when your diet improves. The body doesn't know the difference between emotional stress and physical danger. So if you move through your days tense, worried, or overwhelmed, your body reacts as if you're facing a threat, and inflammation rises. This is why deep breathing, taking breaks, getting sunlight, and moving your body are not luxuries. They are part of how you control the internal environment that shapes your prostate health. And here's something many men never consider. Inactivity is inflammation's silent partner. When you sit for long periods, your circulation slows. Blood flow to the pelvic region decreases. Toxins accumulate. Muscles tighten. All of this creates an environment where the prostate is easily irritated. But even light movement, walking, stretching, or simply standing more, improves circulation and helps the body clear out the waste products that contribute to inflammation. Think of inflammation like clutter in a room. If you allow clutter to build up, eventually the space becomes cramped, uncomfortable, and difficult to move through. The body works the same way. When inflammatory clutter accumulates, organs like the prostate become congested. But as you clear that clutter through better food, better movement, better choices, the space opens up. The gland can function more naturally. The symptoms begin to ease. The beauty of this approach is its simplicity. You are not fighting your body, you are supporting it. You are not depending on drastic measures. You are making consistent choices. You are not surrendering to age. You are partnering with your biology. Inflammation may be the root of your enlarged prostate, but it is also one of the most reversible processes in the body. And the moment you understand how it works, you have already taken the first step toward healing. Choices matter. Small actions matter. Food matters. Movement matters. You matter. Just like the body can be inflamed into discomfort, it can be nourished back into balance. And that balance is what your prostate has been waiting for, quietly, patiently, year after year. When you take a closer look at the nutrients inside certain vegetables, especially the one we've been focusing on, you start to see why they can have such a profound influence on prostate health. Broccoli isn't just a green vegetable sitting on a plate. It is a living pharmacy filled with compounds your body recognizes, understands, and can immediately put to work. And among these compounds, sulforaphane stands out as one of the most remarkable natural tools available to men who want to support their prostate naturally. Imagine sulforaphane as a key that unlocks processes inside the body that are often dormant, especially as we age. As years go by, detoxification pathways slow down. Oxidative stress rises, and cells accumulate damage from daily life. This damage doesn't just show up as wrinkles on the skin. It affects internal organs too, including the prostate. Sulforaphane acts like a gentle but effective wake-up call, nudging your cells to clean themselves out, remove waste, and strengthen their defenses. But let's look deeper, because the real magic of this compound isn't just in what it provides. It's in what it activates. The human body has built-in systems that protect against inflammation, toxins, pollution, and chemical stressors. These systems are powerful, but they need the right signals to turn on. Sulforaphane is one of those signals. It tells your body, start repairing, start detoxifying, start calming the inflammation. It is like flipping a switch that begins a chain reaction of positive changes inside your cells. This is why so many discussions in nutrition science emphasize cruciferous vegetables. They contain compounds that don't simply nourish, they activate. This activation is what makes them especially important for men dealing with an enlarged prostate. The prostate, being deeply affected by oxidative stress and hormone imbalance, thrives when your internal environment becomes cleaner, calmer, and more balanced. Sulforaphane supports that shift. Now, imagine this process happening slowly and steadily. Each time you eat broccoli, whether steamed, roasted, lightly sautéed, or blended into a soup, you are delivering another dose of this powerful activator. It travels quietly through the digestive system, gets absorbed, and begins interacting with your cells. It doesn't shout, it doesn't force. It gently encourages your body to perform the functions it was designed to perform all along. Many men underestimate this. They believe only medications can influence something as complex as the prostate. But nutrition-based books have shown again and again that the human body responds strongly to the signals in plant foods. These foods don't treat symptoms. They support the underlying systems that keep tissues healthy and inflammation in check. And this is where sulforaphane shines. It doesn't attack the prostate. It helps the environment around the prostate become less hostile and more supportive. Think about how the body reacts after a long, stressful day. Muscles tighten, breathing becomes shallow, and tension builds. Now imagine giving your body something that signals relaxation at the cellular level. The cells begin to release oxidative waste, inflammation begins to cool, and tissues begin to feel less irritated. This is what sulforaphane helps initiate, not instantly, but consistently. But what makes broccoli even more powerful is that sulforaphane often comes paired with other supportive nutrients. Vitamin C, vitamin K, fiber, antioxidants, and natural plant compounds all work together. It's never just one nutrient acting alone. Nature doesn't work in isolation, it works in synergy. Every component of the broccoli plant contributes to a larger picture where digestion improves, detoxification strengthens, inflammation quiets, and overall hormonal balance becomes more stable. And hormonal balance is a major factor in prostate health. As men age, hormonal ratios shift. This shift can irritate the prostate, causing it to grow or swell. Sulforaphane has been shown to influence hormone metabolism in a way that supports balance rather than chaos. It helps the body process hormones more efficiently, reducing the buildup of compounds that can aggravate the prostate. Picture a man who has been struggling with the constant pressure of an enlarged prostate. He feels it when he sits, when he lies down, when he tries to sleep. The discomfort becomes a part of his day, a shadow he carries with him. Now imagine him learning that something as simple as eating broccoli regularly can help shift that internal environment. He doesn't need to overhaul his entire lifestyle. He doesn't need complicated routines. He just needs consistency. He adds broccoli to his lunch 3 times a week, then 4, then 5. Over time, something subtle begins to change. His body feels lighter, digestion improves, the constant irritation eases, and gradually the pressure on the prostate begins to lessen. Maybe he doesn't notice it immediately, but one day he realizes that he made it through the night with fewer bathroom trips, that his body feels calmer, that he has more control. This is how natural healing works. Through small deeds performed consistently, supported by nutrients that the body is designed to use. These nutrients don't push the body, they guide it. They don't overwhelm it, they support it. Sulforaphane is one such guide, leading your body toward a healthier, calmer, more balanced state. And this is the heart of Keynote 3, the idea that the right natural compounds can support the prostate not by forcing change, but by reminding the body how to heal. Broccoli offers this reminder every time you eat it. Every serving becomes another message of repair, another step toward comfort, another quiet moment where healing becomes possible. When you think about healing the body, especially something as sensitive and personal as the prostate, it's easy to imagine that the process must be complicated, expensive, or out of reach. But the truth is far simpler. Healing often begins with small daily habits so subtle that you might overlook their power. Yet these are the very habits that act as building blocks for long-term change. They shape the internal environment your body operates in every hour of every day. Consider, for a moment, the difference between someone who approaches health as a one-time event and someone who sees health as a pattern. A man who eats well for one day will feel very little change. A man who eats well consistently, even imperfectly, creates momentum. That momentum is what moves the body toward healing. And this momentum is built through habits, small, ordinary choices that repeat again and again until they create extraordinary results. Think of your body as a system of rhythms. Everything inside you works in patterns: your heartbeats, your breath, your digestion, your hormones, your sleep cycles. When one rhythm falls out of balance, everything else begins to strain. The prostate is especially sensitive to disruptions in these rhythms. That's why nighttime urination becomes worse when you're stressed. That's why inflammation rises when your sleep is shallow. That's why your symptoms feel more intense after days of inactivity or weeks of processed foods. Yet this sensitivity is also an opportunity. Because if the prostate responds quickly to what harms it, it also responds to what helps it. And this is where daily habits become powerful medicine. Imagine beginning each morning with a simple act of hydration. A large glass of water signals the body to flush toxins, wake up the kidneys, and support circulation. Better hydration alone can ease pressure in the pelvic region. Then perhaps you add a short walk, 10 minutes, nothing dramatic. But that movement encourages blood flow, prevents stagnation, and supports lymphatic drainage, all of which play a role in reducing swelling and discomfort in the prostate. These tiny habits, drinking water, walking, eating broccoli or other vegetables, reducing sugar, sleeping earlier, might seem too small to matter. But the body doesn't respond to intensity. It responds to consistency. A few steps every day influence circulation. A few healthier meals influence inflammation. A few nights of better sleep influence hormone balance. And all of these small influences add up, gradually shaping the environment your prostate lives in. Even the way you breathe plays a role. When breathing is shallow, the body stays in stress mode, which keeps inflammation alive. A few slow, deeper breaths throughout the day signal the nervous system to relax. When the body relaxes, inflammation decreases. And when inflammation decreases, the prostate feels relief. Think about your evenings. Many men end the day overstimulated, tense, or mentally exhausted. But creating a simple nighttime routine, turning off screens earlier, lowering lights, practicing calm breathing, avoiding heavy meals before bed, helps the body shift into repair mode. The prostate responds positively when nighttime rest improves. The tissues relax. The constant irritation eases. The body has a chance to restore balance. These habits don't require money. They don't require complicated plans. They don't require perfect discipline. They require intention, a small willingness to support your body instead of working against it. And this willingness becomes a form of self-respect, a way of signaling to your body that you are ready to partner with it. There is something deeply empowering in this. Many men feel helpless when they struggle with an enlarged prostate. They feel as if their bodies are working against them, as if aging is pulling them in a direction they cannot control. But daily habits remind you that control still exists, that you have influence, that your choices matter, that your health is not a passive experience, but an active relationship. Think of habits as votes. Each time you choose a healthier action, you cast a vote for the person you want to become. One vote won't change everything, but 100 votes, 1,000 votes, a year's worth of votes, those create transformation. They create a body that feels lighter, calmer, and more stable. They create a prostate that is less irritated, less swollen, less reactive. Healing is rarely dramatic. It doesn't come wrapped in fireworks or sudden breakthroughs. It comes quietly. It comes softly. It comes in the form of small choices repeated with care. And the beauty is that these small choices often lead to other small choices. Eating broccoli once might inspire you to add a handful of berries. Drinking more water might inspire you to walk more. Feeling the ease of a calmer night might inspire you to create a better evening routine. Your body pays attention to your effort. It responds to your patterns. And when you create patterns that support healing instead of harming, your prostate begins to reflect that shift. It becomes less inflamed because you are giving it fewer reasons to be inflamed. It becomes less swollen because you are creating an internal environment where swelling doesn't thrive. What starts as a simple habit becomes a pathway. What begins as a small step becomes a direction. And over time, that direction becomes your new normal. One where your prostate feels healthier, your body feels stronger, and your confidence returns. When you finally understand that food is more than fuel, that it is chemistry, information, and a form of daily medicine, you begin to look at your plate differently. You realize that every choice you make has a ripple effect throughout your body. And this understanding becomes especially important when you think about your prostate, because the prostate is highly responsive to the internal environment created by the foods you eat. What you place on your plate is not just a meal, it is a message. And that message can either support healing or feed the problem. For years, many men have believed that prostate issues are something to be endured rather than influenced. But when you observe cultures around the world where prostate problems are far less common, a pattern emerges. The diet is simpler, fresher, richer in vegetables, and lower in processed foods. This isn't a coincidence. It is a reflection of how deeply the body responds to natural, unprocessed nourishment. Food doesn't act like a drug. It doesn't force the body into change. It invites the body into balance. When you eat something wholesome, your body knows exactly what to do with it. The nutrients slip into place like pieces of a puzzle, fitting into systems that were designed to thrive on natural foods. And when those systems function smoothly, your digestion, circulation, hormones, detox pathways, your prostate benefits. Many major books that explore longevity highlight this truth. Healing is less about fighting disease and more about giving the body what it needs to restore itself. That restoration begins the moment you choose food with intention. When you select a vegetable like broccoli, you are choosing vitamins, minerals, fiber, antioxidants, and plant compounds that work together to lower inflammation, stabilize hormones, improve circulation, and support cell health. You are choosing nourishment that aligns with your biology. But food also carries a psychological message. When you take the time to prepare something healthy, you send yourself a powerful reminder that you are worth the effort, that your health matters, that your comfort matters, that living with less pain, less pressure, and fewer nighttime interruptions is something you deserve. This mindset shift alone can change the way you approach your well-being. Imagine a man who has spent years feeling at war with his own body. Every night, he wakes up again and again, frustrated and exhausted. Every morning, he feels older than his age, heavier in his spirit, and unsure whether anything can change. Now imagine that man beginning to see food not as routine or obligation, but as possibility. He begins to choose meals intentionally, not perfectly, but consciously. He adds vegetables like broccoli several times a week. He begins to replace heavy foods with lighter ones, sugary drinks with water, rushed meals with mindful ones. At first, nothing dramatic happens. But inside his body, the shift has already begun. His cells begin receiving better nutrients. His inflammation slowly quiets. His digestion becomes smoother. His hormonal balance steadies. And with each passing week, the prostate feels just a little less irritated. Not cured, not reversed, but supported. Given room to calm down, to settle, to stop shouting for help. What food provides is not a miracle. It is opportunity. An opportunity, when repeated daily, becomes transformation. Food also has another powerful advantage. It works consistently. When you eat well today, the benefits continue into tomorrow. When you eat well tomorrow, the benefits extend into the next week. Over time, the impact compounds. One healthy choice becomes two. Two become 10. 10 become a new way of living. And suddenly the body finds itself in an internal environment it can thrive in. A place where inflammation is lower, energy is higher, circulation is better, and the prostate is far less stressed. It's important to remember that no vegetable, no nutrient, no single food is a cure on its own. But the right foods can reduce the burden on the body. They can quiet the internal noise that fuels discomfort. They can lift strain off the prostate and help you reclaim a sense of control. Think of it this way. If the body is a garden, then food is the soil, the water, the sunlight. You cannot force a garden to bloom, but you can give it the conditions that make blooming possible. In the same way, you cannot force your prostate into perfect health, but you can create the conditions that help it function more comfortably, more naturally, and with far less irritation. And food is the foundation of those conditions. So when you place broccoli on your plate, you are not just eating a vegetable. You are nurturing a process. You are feeding systems that work quietly but powerfully in your favor. You are supporting your prostate in the most natural way possible through nourishment that aligns with what the body was designed to receive. Healing doesn't arrive in a single moment. It arrives in moments repeated. It arrives in meals prepared with intention. It arrives in choices made with awareness. And each of those choices is a step toward a body that feels lighter, more balanced, and far more at peace. If you want, I can now combine all 5 keynotes into a single full speech, or help create timestamps, SEO titles, keywords, hashtags, or a thumbnail title.